In April of this year, I started making a game. Now, development was going well, features were coming in, characters were being designed, games were being gamed. But then, Project Creep snuck in. So, what is Project Creep, you might ask? Imagine you design a game with 3 types of elements: grass, water, and fire. Now, a nice rock, paper, scissors type situation here. Everyone has 1 strength, everyone has 1 weakness. Grass is strong against water, water is strong against fire, fire is strong against grass. And same backwards, water is weak to grass, fire is weak to water, and grass is weak to fire. Simple enough, right? Well, say you test the game a few times and things start to get a little bit stale due to the lack of variation. So you think, and you come up with an idea. Let's introduce a new element: electricity. Now, it could be simple enough to change the code so that you add in an extra condition to account for electric types. But then you'd have to add in what electricity is weak to. And all of this doesn't sound too bad, but what happens when you keep adding in new elements, new types, new strengths, and new weaknesses? Project Creep. Soon it becomes unmanageable as a solo developer to functionally keep track of these changes, understand what interacts with what, and how to manage it in an effective way. And that's exactly what happened to me. As I mentioned in a previous video, I went into developing this project purely through the ideas that had built up in my head. And although this is an extremely valid way to handle it, it also meant that I never fully thought out the ideas. So things like friendly units, how they would eventually interact with each other and enemies, became impossible to keep track of. And as the project grew and the ideas grew, the systems that were built would start to crumble. This became a huge issue for the scalability of the game. I designed these systems that are so case specific that when in reality there may and even should have been universal cases for them. So how do we address this? Well, this is where a game design document could come in. It's essentially the skeleton of your game. Everything from systems to design to the project timeline to characters. It's the basis of how everything in your game interacts with each other. An example of what I've done is I've rewritten the friendly characters. I've given each of them an ability path and written what it does, how it interacts, and what it impacts. Keeping track of this means that when it comes to coding the systems, I can easily implement an upgrade that can be shared between multiple characters. Now, writing up a game design document doesn't have to be as extensive as I have done it here. In fact, I have an example from my multiplayer networked game that I built as part of my capstone project in university, which gave us a game design document template, which, if you're thinking of starting your own project, I recommend following as well. In saying that, writing up a game design document, even a basic one, it is extremely likely that what you write and how you write it, things will still change during the course of development, but the likelihood of issues occurring as a result of project creep or just general changes will be a lot less. So, what can you expect to see differently? Let's start with the level design. There's going to be 4 primary locations to choose from: the desert, the mountains, the forest, and the overworld. Each level will have their own tile set, unique enemies, and visual effects that will intend to immerse the player into the scene. There's also a completely new roster of playable characters, now called heroes or guardians, as well as enemies that are all inspired by Greek mythology. For the time being, the art that is already in the game is what I'll stick to for now. There will be a major overhaul with the visuals down the line, but I want to get the concept out first before the art, as that'll probably be the hardest to get right. Now, let's keep tearing this game apart and hopefully get the scenes laid out correctly. Okay, so I've just finished up a little development session, and it might not look like as much has been done just yet, but I now have a way to directly link methods together in any sort of script, sort of like a pseudo-delegate event system. To give an example, let's say I pause the game. Anything that is subscribed to the pause event will have a method called directly into it and have their own method of implementation. So for enemies, it might mean to stop moving, user interface will display some menu options, and bullets will stop moving. Now, this is a small change, but having this system in now will mean that I will have full access to these universal methods for the future. I have also scrapped a lot of the ability systems that I'd previously written up, as I will be refactoring these pretty much entirely. Anyway, that's the update for this fortnight, guys. I know once again it wasn't too much in terms of pure content, but this is leading into something that I'm really keen on, and hopefully by the next devlog we'll start to see some real improvements. Take care, guys.